Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another edition of the Future's So Right podcast. I'm your host, Pete Beal, and as always, this is a Green Flame Press production. So here we are, back with another episode. I was kind of leaning towards not doing an episode this week. I'm working on, I've got a lot of announcements coming up soon regarding my upcoming release, and I have some pretty exciting episodes planned that'll tie into that about the publishing process and things like that. And so we have a few longer episodes that we can look forward to in the next couple of months. And I've been putting a little bit of work into those piece by piece. And while I was doing that, I didn't necessarily have a topic for this episode that was really banging on my door saying, you need to talk about this. But I woke up this morning and something just popped into my head, and I just wanted to sit down and get my thoughts out about it. So I don't know how long this episode's going to be. I'm hoping it'll be about an average length episode. But today we're going to talk a little bit about not so much the writing process, but what we can do to support other authors, specifically our favorite authors. A lot of people, they have their favorites, they have people they want to support, but they don't know all the best ways to do that. So we're going to talk about a few different ways that you can do that, a lot of which aren't going to cost you a dime, but can make a huge difference in that author's sales, and if we can be quite blunt, in that author's attitude and their desire to continue doing what they're doing. Because let's be honest, this isn't an easy line of work to be in. So if this interests you, sit down, maybe grab something to drink, and I hope you enjoy the episode. I also, before we get started, I suppose I should do my spiel, right? Thank you to everyone who tuned into our last episode. If you like the content here and you want to hear more of it, more writing-related topics, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out. You can subscribe on YouTube to make sure you're alerted anytime there's a new episode out. Also, if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or feedback, you can go to my website. It's linked down in the description. It's petebeal.com. There's a form you can fill out to send me any question, comment you want. You can even remain anonymous if you would like. Also, if you're a writer or in any way affiliated with the writing industry and you'd like to come on this show, have a discussion, I'd love to have you. You can also access that via my website, petebeal.com. Again, linked down below. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. So as I said in the intro, this idea for a topic actually occurred to me this morning when I woke up. So I don't know how good of a sign that is, considering that I've been quite sleep deprived this week and I did not sleep well last night at all. But hopefully this still turns into a somewhat coherent episode of the podcast. I suppose if you're hearing this, that means I deemed it worthy of being aired. So, supporting authors, supporting other authors. It's an interesting topic, and I think it's an important one because from my experience, the writing community is very tight-knit. And we like to support each other, right? So what are the different ways of doing that? Well, I'm going to open with one that's going to make you probably say, oh, well, no shit, Sherlock. The first thing that you can do if you want to support an author that's going to make the biggest difference is buy their book. Now I'm going to leave a moment of silence here, stunned silence, because I'm sure you didn't figure that one out on your own. You're welcome. I'm here all week. There's actually an extra step you can take here that's not going to cost you any extra if you're planning on buying somebody's book. That'll actually help them out even more. And that's pre-ordering their book when that option is available. You see, say an author has their book available for pre-order a month in advance before the release. When you pre-order an author's book, that actually helps them out quite a bit. So if they have the option, it's a great one to take. It's one that doesn't cost you any extra. So why does this help out? Well, say they have their book available for pre-order a month or two before it comes out. What you're doing by pre-ordering is you're one part of essentially all these algorithms that go into these massive websites like, say, Amazon. And they use these algorithms to suggest purchases to other people. So while you by yourself aren't going to make a huge difference, say 10, 20, 50 people all come out and pre-order this book rather than waiting for the day of release. What's going to happen is these algorithms, these complex mathematical equations that essentially decide what gets suggested to prospective buyers, are going to pick up that people are pre-ordering it. And they're going to see there's a bit of buzz for this book. And it's going to suggest that the people that have similar interests based on their purchasing history as you, people who might never have heard of this author before. So it's a great way, like I said, you pre-order the book, and what's great then too is it automatically, if it's a physical book, it ships. If it's an ebook, it automatically comes to your reader the day of release. You don't have to think about it, and it can often be a nice little surprise if you forget about it, right? So, extra little step you can take, not going to cost you anything, but could potentially make a huge difference in the long run for your favorite author. Now, while we're still on the topic of ways that you can help out your favorite authors while still spending a little bit of money, we're about to get into the free options in a minute. Consider giving their books as gifts. If you have family members, if you have friends who enjoy reading and you think they would enjoy your favorite author's story, I can't think of a better gift to give someone. I mean, think about it. If you want to give somebody a gift that's going to mean something to them in the long term, there aren't many better options than a book, especially at the price point, right? I mean, you can go to some sort of gift store and get them some kind of gag gift or kitschy little ornament or something like that that ultimately is going to end up getting put on a shelf and forgotten. Or you could give them a reading experience that they're going to enjoy and perhaps introduce them to an author that they're going to seek out their books going forward. What better way to support your favorite author than by giving them an entirely new reader? Someone new who's going to come in and buy all of their books in the future. It's a great gift to give both to a friend and to your favorite author, so think about doubling down, right? Okay now, I promised you that I would provide you with some free ways to support your favorite authors, and now is the time when I deliver on that promise. The first thing that you're going to want to do, the most meaningful way that you can support your favorite author, anytime you read one of their books, review it. Reviews are so critical for any author. If you want to know the best way to go about doing this, this is what I would recommend. Number one, you're going to want to register for a Goodreads account. Goodreads is essentially a website that houses book reviews. Basically, any book you can imagine, it's out there and you can review it. So, anytime you read a book, go out to Goodreads and review it. These don't have to be long reviews. I've seen a lot of reviews that are nuts. They're like half as long as the book itself. You don't have to go all out like that. If you don't have a lot of time, it could just be something like, I really enjoyed this book. This author always puts out a good story. Done. Now, in addition to reviewing on Goodreads, I also recommend going out to whatever platform you bought the book at and reviewing it there as well. So if you bought the book on Amazon, go to Amazon.com, leave a short review. If you bought it at Barnes & Noble, go to BarnesandNoble.com, leave a short review. So why are reviews so important? Well, for a few reasons. Now, what you might think is that the most important part about reviews is that they help people decide whether or not they should buy the book. And there's truth to this. Obviously, good reviews are going to help encourage future readers. But it goes beyond that. Earlier, when we were talking about pre-sales, we talked a little bit about the algorithms that determine who gets shown what when they're shopping online. With reviews, books that don't have many reviews don't show up in recommended lists very often. So a book that has 10 reviews is far more likely to show up in a recommendation than a book that has 0 reviews. Now, for Amazon in particular, the consensus is that the sweet spot is 50 reviews to really boost yourself onto those recommended lists. Every review helps. It's funny, go out and look up a few of your favorite books. You might find that unless they're by a really well-known best-selling author, they don't have as many reviews as you would think. You know, a lot of readers think, oh, I enjoyed that, but there's no reason to go out and review because there's so many other people doing it. The truth is that's not always the case. You can make a huge impact by taking a few minutes out of your day to write your favorite author a review. Let's jump right into another free way that you can support your favorite author. Do you have a local library? Are you a member of a local library? If so, you have a great opportunity to support your favorite authors. Check their book out. If the library doesn't have the book, you can actually request it, and oftentimes they'll go ahead and order it. These sales can mean a lot for an author. If they order, say, 3 of your favorite authors' books, and you go check them out, and you recommend a few friends that check them out, you know what's going to happen? They're going to order more of your favorite authors' books. And nowadays, it's not just print books either. They also often buy licenses for ebooks. So this is just a fantastic way to support your favorite author yourself by getting them those extra purchases without you having to spend the money, but also you're making their books available potentially to thousands, hundreds, or thousands of potential new readers. And it isn't going to cost you a dime. At most, you just might have to ask somebody at your local library if they can order a couple of books. Not too bad. Let's just keep this train rolling, shall we? What's another free method that you could use to support your favorite authors? Well, nowadays, almost every author is going to have some sort of social media presence, right? And most of us have some sort of social media presence or account, right? So does your favorite author have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook, a YouTube channel? If so, one of the easiest possible ways that you can support them is simply following them on these platforms. And if you want to take this a step further, which I highly recommend everybody does, interact with them on these platforms. If they make a post, comment on that post, like their content. These work similarly to book sales and book reviews. All of these major websites run based on algorithms. So who sees the content is going to depend on how many people are interacting with that content. So if your author puts up a post sharing their upcoming release date, one of the best things you could possibly do for them is like that post, maybe comment on it. Oh, I'm really looking forward to this. I can't wait to pick this up. And then for bonus points, even share it with the people that follow you on your social media platforms. One of the easiest and absolutely free ways that you can support your favorite authors. They love when people interact with them, and it makes a huge difference. Think of it like this, if you're not quite sure how exactly this helps an author out. Let's say you are on Instagram and you see 2 different author accounts. One has, say, 400 followers, the other has, say, 3,000 followers. They both have books out. Your inclination is more likely to be to try out the book from the author with more followers. That's no guarantee that it's a better book, but we subconsciously associate people with a larger following as being better. Is that fair? I don't think it is, but that's the way the human mind tends to work. So by adding yourself into their following, you're doing your small part, your very easy part, to help them spread their reach. The next thing we're going to talk about assumes you're buying the book, but it's a little extra step you can take that doesn't require you to spend any additional money. So let's say you buy your favorite author's book from a bookstore. And for the record, even if that author's book isn't carried in your local bookstore, especially if you have a smaller independent store, a lot of times you can request that they order that book, and most bookstores will do that for you. So let's say you're buying it from a store, especially a store where they haven't been carried before. Maybe the person who sells the book to you might ask a little bit. I've never heard of this author before. What kind of writing do they do? How are their books? This is a good chance for you to sort of sing their praises to somebody who then turns around and sells and also recommends books to the general public. So say, for example, you're at a small independent bookstore and you suggest this to the person working, who may very well be the owner or the manager. They might think, oh, I'm going to check this book out. I'm going to read this book now. Maybe they order a copy for themselves. They read it, they enjoy it, they order a few more copies, and they put it in their recommended pile. It's just a small thing you can do if you're going to buy the book in a store anyway. Even a larger store like Barnes & Noble, say something when you're checking out, yeah, I really like this author. Because then maybe that employee will check the book out, they like it, they add it to their staff picks. Just a small way you can help your author get their name out there that doesn't require any additional funds. Okay, so my next suggestion, I'm going to be fully honest. This is a suggestion that I would never do myself. Now, I'll explain why I would never do this myself. And a lot of people might never do this, but if you are the right type of person, you might. I would never do this myself because once I read a book, I keep it pretty much forever, and my house is full of books that I have read. Even if I don't have any intention of reading it again, it's extremely uncommon that I would get rid of a book. Now, some people never reread anything. Some people don't want the clutter in their house, or maybe they don't have the room to keep books that they've already read. So what do you do with these books? So there are these things called, and you've probably seen them, little free libraries. And these are things that private individuals set up outside their houses where anyone can go in and put a book in or take a book out, and it's basically a very small miniature library. Works kind of like a mailbox. Anyone can go anytime. So if you have finished a book and say you don't have room for it in your house, or you're the type of person that just doesn't keep anything when you're done with it, go to Google Maps, type in little free library, find the one that's closest to your house, drive over there, walk over there, put your favorite author's book in there, because normally these libraries might have a dozen or 2 dozen books in there. There's not a huge selection. So your author's book is going to have a very good chance of getting read. If you don't have any little free libraries near you, I know I have to go quite a ways to my nearest one. Another option would be sometimes laundromats have a little book share area, coffee shops, campgrounds, places like this, even hotels. Find a place nearby that has a little book sharing corner and leave the book there for somebody to find. But I always find this to be a bit, well, it sort of increases the odds of the book being found by somebody, rather than, say, if you were to donate it to like a Goodwill type place where it's ultimately going to end up on a shelf with, say, hundreds and hundreds of books where it kind of gets lost in the shuffle for a while. And you never know if somebody picks it up from the free little library. They might then turn around and put it back when they're done with it. And you never know how many people that book might reach. So, this is a cool little thing that I found after I recorded the prior segment. Uh, Little Free Library is a nonprofit organization, and they actually have a map of all of their registered libraries on their website. So, I'm going to have that link down below. You can enter, say, your zip code, look for every library within a 5, 10, 20-mile radius, and it'll bring them all up. And some people even have little details about their little library that they've sponsored. So just a resource down there for you to find. Okay, I have one last thing you can do to support your favorite authors. And this might be the most meaningful for an author. If you like their book, if you like all their books, tell them. And we talked a bit about reviews earlier, and that's important, but tell them directly. Most authors have an official website where you can contact them, or they have the aforementioned social media platforms where you can direct message them, you can leave them comments. Reach out to them and send them a little note. It doesn't have to be long, it can be. Tell them a little bit about yourself, why you like their book. Did it mean something particularly special to you? Not many people do this. And I think the reason that not many people do this is because they assume that authors get more of these than they do. In reality, unless the author in question is like a massive multi-time bestseller, they're going to see your note. And they might respond to you, they might not. But it's going to mean a lot to them when they read it. It's going to help them keep that drive to keep going. So that's a small suggestion. Financially, it's probably not going to help them much, but it's going to be a huge help to them mentally, motivationally. It's just going to mean a lot to them. I've always thought we should never underestimate the impact of a kind word here and there. And our favorite authors are no different. They need our support and our encouragement just as much as anyone else does. Okay, everyone, I think this episode's getting long enough, so let's go ahead and call it quits here, shall we? Like I said, if you're not subscribed, please make sure you do so. If you enjoyed the content, hit that thumbs up button. Makes a huge difference. I've got a lot of content coming up in the next couple of months. I have a book release coming up in the fall. Probably going to release that title and book cover very soon. That's all I'll say. Very soon. And so I'm going to have a lot of content just sort of talking about my personal experience in the publishing industry. Hopefully some of you will find that helpful. Again, the website, petebeal.com, is going to be listed in the credits, linked down below. Questions, comments, topic suggestions, requests to be a guest, all of them are welcome. Social media platforms, also linked down below. Would love to have you follow me. Alright, I think I've talked your ears off enough for one night, or day, or afternoon, or whatever it is for you. So please, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, stay creative, and always keep writing. Thank you.